Hello, I'm Amanda Gore, and I'm here today to share with you some secrets of great leadership, 21st century leadership, and the single most important thing in life. Seriously, the single most important thing in life is how you feel about yourself. And before you sit there and you go, well, duh, or, oh, that's not right, oh, yes, it is. Have a look at this. Now, here is you, and this is how you feel about yourself. And this is determined by a whole stack of things. Very often, how you feel about yourself is determined by the time you're 5. And it's kind of set in concrete by the time you're 5. And it's influenced by your parents, your siblings, by teachers, by total strangers, by other people in your family, by your schoolmates, anybody that has some kind of influence. I remember I was in Greece when I was about 23, and I thought life was perfect when I was 23. And I was on this beautiful small island called Paleokastriska, and I'm walking down, I'm in my bikini. I was so young and confident that I thought I could walk around in a bikini. Well, two kind of biggish Greek guys, very hairy, they were old too. They walked past, and unfortunately they could speak English because they said, oh, nice face, short legs. Now, I was 23. I'd never even thought about my legs. And for the next 20 years, I kept thinking I had short legs. Now, I laugh about it now, and it's insignificant really, but never underestimate the value of one small comment said in passing and the effect that it has on how we feel about ourselves. Because how we feel about ourselves is the center of our world. It determines how everyone else feels around us. See, it's the most important thing because how you feel about yourself, if you're feeling good, then you can forget about yourself. You don't have to defend and protect and attack to make yourself feel good. You can focus on making everyone else feel good about themselves. And that is a mark of great leadership, great parenting, and pretty much a great human. See, look, all of customer service depends on how you make other people feel. They can ring up and have a real problem with something that's your product or one of your people, but if you can relate to them and make them feel good about themselves, then the problem isn't a problem anymore. You can resolve it, and they feel better about you. In terms of sales, people are not going to buy stuff from somebody they don't actually like. And to get people to like you is a whole lot easier when you like yourself and you feel good about yourself. If you're a parent, the greatest gift you can give your children is to help your children feel good about themselves. And so on it goes with your colleagues, with your boss, with your company. Everything in your life is influenced on how you feel about yourself. And let me give you the example. Do you remember being in love? Think back. It doesn't have to be the first time, but any time you're really madly in love. And if you haven't been in love, well, just imagine, okay? Think about a TV program or a movie. Well, when you fall in love with someone else, it's magical. And it's like all your life you're looking for the perfect person, looking, and finally you go, oh, you're it. You're my perfect person. Oh, I can't believe how lucky I am. You're so perfect. You're everything I ever wanted. And the other person's looking at you saying the same thing. So now you've got two people looking at each other going, you're so perfect, I love you, I can't believe it. And you know what happens? You actually see yourself in your full, gorgeous, glorious, spectacular spiritual nature, the best you can be. In other words, you fall in love with yourself. When someone else falls in love with you, you're actually falling in love with yourself. You feel fantastic about yourself. And that's why it's so important. Now think about it. When you're in love with someone else, but really in love with yourself, how do you feel about life? Everything in life is fabulous. People who were formerly monsters suddenly turn into lovely people. And situations that would have driven you nuts before suddenly are no problem. Life's great and things come to you and everything changes. All because you're in love with yourself. Now, because we're human, the easiest way I can describe it is imagine like you're split in two. And on the front is this gorgeous, fabulous person that you really are inside. And on the back, because we're human, are all the warts. Now, in the early days of being in love with somebody and yourself, all you do is look at the fabulous side. It's wonderful, everything's great. And one day after time, one of you turns around and the other person goes, ew, look at those warts, ew. And then you see their warts, you go, ew, look at your warts. And then you see your own warts and you fall out of love with yourself. And so how you feel, fall in love with yourself again and stay in love with yourself. But what are the things that stop people falling in love with themselves? Because hardly anybody does feel really good about themselves deep down. Well, they're the 3 core fears in life. And these core fears are usually embedded by the time you're 5. And no matter how great a parent you had, no parent wakes up and goes, oh, how can I destroy my child's life today? We don't do that on purpose. It just happens. And no matter how hard you're trying to do a great job. And it's because, I might add, that we have toddler thinking. Toddlers don't have the capacity of adults to think rationally and understand other people's behaviour and make excuses for them and forgive and go to the big picture. We're toddlers. So whatever happens, we just internalise as relating to ourselves. So here are the 3 core fears. Now the first one is, and this it's twofold, and the first part gets a lot of men. So it's I am not good enough. Now a lot of men, not all men, but a lot of men have their first fear is this. And interestingly, most women have this version of the same fear, which is I am not worth loving. And again, you don't have to do much as a parent to get a child with this fear embedded. I remember hearing a story about a woman who was 25 who was having therapy because when she was like 2 or 3, she was out with her sister and her mother. Well, the mother only had 1 lollipop. Hint, if this ever happens to you, don't hand out the lollipop. Anyway, the mother only had 1 lollipop and she gave it to the sister. And she said to the other little toddler, this woman having therapy, she said, Mummy doesn't have a second lollipop, darling, but she'll give you one when we get home. Now, she's a toddler. She doesn't understand time and getting home and why she didn't get one. She heard, Mummy doesn't love me, she didn't give me a lollipop. And 25 years later, she's having therapy because she doesn't feel she's worth loving. It's not rational. But that's the fear that's embedded in most of us. I'm 58 now, and I didn't learn until I was 53 or 4 that my father being an alcoholic had really influenced my life. And my parents split when I was 5, and when you're 5, you don't know. And it wasn't an acrimonious split, as far as I know, because I can't remember anything. But my mum said to us, there's no room in our house for Daddy. Well, I was 5. I thought, oh, cool, okay then. And I'd go to school and say, oh, no, Daddy doesn't live with us because we don't have room in our house for him. And all my other 5-year-old friends would go, oh, okay, let's play. You don't know. And it wasn't until, because I couldn't remember anything about my childhood, it wasn't until I read a book by chance, it's a long story, I haven't got time to tell you, but I discovered the Al-Anon Bible. So there's Alcoholics Anonymous, but Al-Anon is for people who've been affected by alcoholics. And I was just flipping through this book casually one day because it was the only book around, and I was astonished. I'm like, oh. And all these behaviours were me on a stick. So then I started to investigate, and I realised that I had a core fear of I'm not worth loving. And I've been working on it for years. Becoming conscious of it is great. Then we have to do the work. Now, the second big fear that most people most people actually do have this one. I am unsafe in some way. And usually when you feel unsafe, it makes you behave in a kind of controlling way. And I didn't realise this one either until my wonderful husband, long-suffering husband, kept saying to me, you're such a control freak. And of course I'm going, I'm not a control freak, you're the control freak. Well, no, you're the control freak. Look in a mirror. And one day I thought, maybe I better look at this. And I realised from when I was a little kid with an alcoholic parent whose moods you could never really learn to trust, I didn't feel so safe. I also learned, like this is a short clip, I also learned some other things that were pretty significant that would make me feel unsafe. And so I had to look at it because there were areas in my life that I was behaving in a very controlling way unnecessarily with my husband and with other people. But I was desperately trying to make myself feel safe. Now, if I'd set boundaries, and if I allowed myself to set boundaries, I wouldn't need to be so controlling to feel safe. The third big fear, this one is pretty much universal. It's death separation, or abandonment. And there's some studies now that even show if you're breastfeeding, a mother of course, if a mother's breastfeeding the baby and she's not paying full attention to the baby while she's breastfeeding, children even then, babies, have separation anxiety. Their little heart rates go up and their breathing changes. So most of us have that fear of separation or abandonment. So they are the three core fears that underpin nearly every behaviour we have, because we're living lives of habits and patterns ruled unconsciously by fear. These are the fears that stop you feeling good about yourself. And so I want you to go forth and recognise them and look for them and become conscious of them. Because remember, we're living lives of habits and patterns ruled unconsciously by fear. And watch for what you say to yourself about yourself. You are not your story. The best example is someone who's shy. You know, someone who goes, I'm shy. I've always been shy. I was born shy. No, you weren't. Have you ever met a shy toddler, a little toddler that's never been told they're shy? What you meet are little toddlers who don't feel safe. And they go, when they're feeling unsafe, they cling to mummy or daddy's leg. And you, the parent, want to cover for the child. So you drag the child around with you on your leg and go, oh no, they're just shy. No, she's fine, she's just shy. And once a child hears that 5 or 6 times, guess what the child believes about themselves? That they're shy. And that becomes how they feel about themselves for the rest of their lives. Stop. Now I want you to look deeply into my eyes. I want you to look here and I want you to listen to the words I'm about to say. Because you are good enough. You are more than good enough to do anything that you want to do. And you are worth loving. You are absolutely worth loving. If you believe in God, you are a child of God. Just because you're a child of God, if you believe in spirituality, if you believe in Buddha or Allah, you are worth loving just because you are a human. And forgive yourself. Forgive everybody else. You are worth loving. And whatever happened to you as a toddler, this is really important. Whatever happened to you as a toddler, it was not your fault. Whatever happened to you as a toddler, it was not your fault. You couldn't control what was happening. You were a toddler. Secondly, you are safe. You can make yourself safe. Now, of course, there are some circumstances where it's not safe for you to stay, but you have the choice to leave, to go somewhere else, to find a safe haven. But in day-to-day stuff, where there's no abuse, you can make yourself feel safe. First of all, you've got to become aware that you feel unsafe, and then set boundaries. Consciously set boundaries. And for people like me who've grown up and, have not felt worth loving and have felt unsafe, the concept of boundaries was very foreign to me because I was too busy trying to make everybody love me and to be lovable. And so I would do anything and go anywhere and go, oh, okay. And learning to set boundaries is quite a challenge. But it's a lifelong journey that you can enjoy if you want to. And the third component is that you are never alone. When we're abandoned, we're usually abandoned by ourselves. And if you connect with your heart and you stay there, or connect with your higher self, or connect with God, or the spiritual realms, or whatever it is that's bigger than you, that is out there, then you will never feel really alone again. And connect with your friends, but most importantly, stay connected with yourself, with your heart. So, there you have it. Go forth and really find out how you feel about yourself. There's a professor in Australia, Professor John Duradini, and he's a professor of psychiatry, and he said, life is not all about feeling good. Life is about being good at feeling. Go forth. Find out how you feel about yourself. Become very good about finding out when you feel good or not. Then explore the fears that underlie those feelings. And you're going to have a great life. Yay! Bye.